Our next section of the conference is about panels, so you'll get the chance to interact with different experts in the community. Our next guests are two of my favorite people, Heather Day and Stephen Quinn. They're both from UK. And I love the way they work. They're very gentle, kind spirits, and they offer a wise perspective. I love the way they hold space. They're so kind. And they allow you to work through blockages in adulthood through their work as coaches when offering people the chance to solve transitions in life. So saying this, I'd like to bring you now both Heather Day and Steve Quinn. So if you please will be so kind to open your mics so that we can listen to you now. I give the floor to you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for that nice introduction. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon, moving into evening, where Steve and I will present about how we use Logosynthesis in coaching in our work. So we're just going to introduce ourselves briefly. I'm Heather Day. I'm a coach and a trainer, and I work with clients in life and career transitions, specifically from midlife and beyond. And I have been working with Logosynthesis for about 11 years. And I came from an education background into coaching training. And over to you, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Heather. And thanks, Alan, for that wonderful introduction and for the opportunity to be here. So I'm Steve Quinn. I'm based in Scotland. My background is in HR, but I've been running my own business since 97. Working with senior teams and senior leaders across quite a wide range of organizations. And my principal focus is that interface between change and people. That's where I love to be. In terms of Logosynthesis, I'm a recently qualified practitioner. Been working with it for 2 or 3 years, using it initially for self-coaching and with some clients, and then undertaking the practitioner program about 2 years ago and finding it a very fruitful addition to my coaching practice. So that's my background. In terms of our objective today, what we want to do is to give you an insight into how Logosynthesis fits with the coaching world. And also to give you a practical experience of working with one of those features which comes up quite a lot, which is limiting beliefs. So be an example there to work with, which we'll do with you as an active exercise. Heather.
Thank you, Steve. So yeah, tell me, how did you first come across Logosynthesis? What brought you to working with it in your coaching work?
Well, I first came across it when I met a Swiss coach who was training as a practitioner, and we were just comparing notes, and I said, "What is it Swiss coaches do?" And she said that one of the key differences when we talked for a while was that she was using Logosynthesis, which I'd never heard of. So I was curious about that and what it was about. And that just led me on a journey of exploration, reading some of William's books and beginning to self-coach. I found self-coaching really powerful for me, but also in understanding where clients come from. So that was, that's been a really worthwhile journey, much deeper than the kind of the toolkit kind of thought I had about it. I thought at first Logosynthesis was a toolkit thing and it would plug a gap which I knew I had in terms of how I worked with clients. And it's done that, but it's way, way much more than that. So, but what about you?
Yes, well, I discovered Logosynthesis 11 years ago, and I was lucky because, as we talked earlier together, I was introduced to it in my coaching training because Mary O'Donoghue, who's going to be on the panel later, was my tutor. So when you work with coaching, you're looking at how to work with things like limiting beliefs And I was thinking, well, how do we remove these beliefs? How do we actually clear them? We can name them, but what do we do then? And I discovered when Mary introduced it, this system, and as you said, it's not just a tool for our toolkit, it's a system of guided change, which we can use with clients to get deep and profound results. And I also started working with self-coaching, which I continue to do. So let's talk a little bit more about what kind of client issues we work with. So what things come up for you with your client work, Steve?
So my client work is pretty broad ranging, but it's all about change. Sometimes it's about change for the individual. So it may be someone stepping up to a senior position for this first time, and they're not quite sure what you need to do as a director. You know, they were a good manager, and that's why they got promoted. And they want to find out. They want to work on how to step up effectively, and they discover in doing that often that there are kind of obstacles to doing that from things like confidence, or they're not quite sure about relationships or their boss perhaps, and those would be kind of typical examples. Sometimes it's a confidence thing. Sometimes it's about fears, anxiety about the future, and can I do this? Am I good enough? So lots of rich pickings in there in terms of how we would apply logosynthesis. And for you?
Yeah, again, I agree. It's a wide range of issues. So my clients might come to me if it's at the end of a career transition or after redundancy, perhaps they might be experiencing stress or on the point of burnout, and they recognize that and they want to do something about it. And they come to me often because I use Logosynthesis, because they want to unravel some of the patterns. While coaching stays with the present and we work in the present, there's often things that have been driving them, like the work hard driver, or something that is causing them to feel stressful. And so what we do is we explore where those blocks are as part of moving forward. So where do they want to be in a year's time, in 5 years' time? But in order to unravel what's going on, Logosynthesis is a really useful way of looking at things like that, and including procrastination, which is a whole area we can work with specifically with Logosynthesis. And like you, confidence. So some of the results that I get with clients are huge leaps in improving their confidence. They have more clarity of their direction. And after a session, they feel a lot calmer in themselves and they have clarity. There's something about the way this works very subtly and gently, but it's also a very empowering tool. So a lot of my clients say they feel more empowered, more clear, and they have more freedom. And it's also about bringing more energy into ourselves, a kind of bigger version of ourselves, our true self, where we can expand and take up more space. And if we're caught up with the reaction, then sometimes that stops us from actually moving forward in the present. And for you, what are some of the benefits of working with Logosynthesis?
Oh, well, I was struck by, so my work's around change, people, you know, responding, coping with, exploiting, you know, the possibilities of change. And I think when people come to that, they bring all sorts of luggage from the past. And I was struck by Pamela's description of it as a rucksack. You know, they're carrying a rucksack full of stuff which kind of holds them back. And what I've found is that we can release lots of that rucksack stuff, lots of that luggage. And you're right, it kind of frees them up in terms of being more energized, more confident to move forward. But I think also there's an aspect of this which is about accessing inner resources. I mean, for years, I remember, you know, with other coaches talking about, you know, what we're really doing is, you know, releasing the inner resources. And I'm not sure that we had many tools for that, to be honest. And it strikes me that Logosynthesis is, you know, is a wonderful way of releasing inner resources. I was talking with a colleague earlier about an example. Yeah, you know how we do this thing in coaching where we, towards the end of our work, we help people to decide the next steps and build a commitment and the action plan so that they move forward. And that's just a routine part of work and coaching, I think. But I was working with a client and we removed a past obstacle, and she was instantly able to say, it's all right, we don't need to work on the action plan thing. She was kind of experienced, so but it just tapped into, I know what to do. I have to do this, 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 and this. I'll do it, by Tuesday next week, and I'll move forward from there. And it was like, wow, that's an inner resource that I wasn't expecting to be unlocked, and I'm convinced that logosynthesis was what did that. So yeah, it's
clearing the
powerful
way.
stuff.
Yeah, clearing the way.
Mm.
Yeah, so let's take people through an exercise this afternoon. Yeah. So I'm going to introduce you to a short exercise because we are tight on time. But also it will demonstrate that we can work with logosynthesis in a very simple and easy way and still get some results. So try this as an experiment, the people that are watching and participating, and I invite you to join in with a small process. So what we'd like you to do is find a something in the near future, so something that you want to get done, like a task or a small goal, nothing too big, in the next few weeks. So just take a minute to.
So this is something for everyone to do, everyone that's listening today.
Yeah, everyone that's listening. So I want them to just take a moment to connect with something. Just think of something that they want to get done in the next few weeks. Just a small short-term goal. And I want to invite you to think about or to notice when you start to go into this short-term task, what comes up for you? And you might notice we're going to work with a limiting belief or something that's restricting you. So what belief is coming up that might be getting in the way of you achieving this task? And so just take a moment to notice that. And quite often when we move into something in the future, we might come up with, I'm not sure I can do this, I might fail, I won't get it done. So I'm just going to give you a minute to connect with that. And if there's more than one, just choose one. So I would like you to, just work with this one limiting belief that's come up. And what I like to do is just explore. So at this moment, you just make sure that you're centered in your chair and your feet on the ground, and just take some time. So you can either close your eyes or just lower your eyes and just get a sense of, where is this belief in space? So find this belief in space. So it could be in your personal space around you or in your body. So where is this belief? And just notice where it shows up. So it might show up in front of you, behind you, to the left, to the right. Just be curious. Where does it show up? And how do you perceive it? So do you hear? You might hear a voice. And is there a volume and a pitch to that voice? Or do you see something in your personal space and notice the distance and direction? Or do you sense something kinesthetically? You might notice a change in temperature or body sensation, vibration. So just be curious. And now I want you to, I'm just going to ask you, how true is this belief? So this limiting belief that you come up with on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is it's not true at all, and 10 is it's completely true. And now just notice what's happening in your body. This reaction to this limiting belief. So do you notice anything in your physical body, your breathing? You might be holding something somewhere in your body. So just notice that. And any emotions or thoughts coming up related to this as we work with this limiting belief. And then give yourself a number on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no reaction with this belief, and 10 being a strong reaction. And now we'll work with the Logosynthesis sentences. So I have a sentence for you. And if you have some water, have some nearby so you can take some water afterwards. So just let the words work. Say them aloud. You're all muted, so you can speak the sentences aloud, and I'll offer you them in segments, and it's a repeat after me. So the first sentence is, I retrieve all my energy. Bound up in this belief. And I take it to the right place in myself. And just let the words work. And the second sentence, I remove all non-me energy related to this belief. From all of my cells, from all of my body, and from my personal space. And I send it to where it truly belongs. And just let the words work. And breathe. And the third sentence, I retrieve all my energy, bound up in all my reactions to this belief. And I take it to the right place in myself. And just let those words work. When you're ready, come back and open your eyes. If your eyes are closed, have a drink of water. And then I'm going to ask you, so how true is that belief, that limiting belief, on a scale of 0 to 10? Now, how are the actions when you think this? And now go back to your original goal. And what happens? And if there's some relief and release, then maybe you can think of your next step. What's your next step? Now, when you go back to what you wanted to achieve in a few weeks' time, what's different? Maybe you can write down what your next step will be now. So thank you for everyone. I've been given a time warning. So Steve and I have really enjoyed presenting with you, and our aim is to offer another session on logosynthesis and coaching after the conference for those that are interested. So we'll have a longer time and we can do a demonstration. So please watch out for the conference information afterwards if you'd like to explore more about logosynthesis and coaching. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Couple of quick comments in the closing seconds. Thanks for being with us. Some really interesting reductions on the numbers in the chats in terms of levels of distress. So that's wonderful. And a final question for you all. What's your takeaway from this session today? Thanks for being with us.
Thank you both. And we'll make sure that after the conference, we send a post-conference mailing, including the information you mentioned today. Thank you. Wow. One of the things that I love about logosynthesis is how effective and efficient it can be. We just had an experience with logosynthesis in such a short time, and yet it's still very effective. The changes are dramatical. So that's something that I wanted to point out.